scene was Malcolm's interrogation of Macduff's motives. In our first interpretation, Malcolm is much more assertive than the contrastingly weaker Macduff.
Bleed, poor country, great tyranny, lay thou thy bases sure, for goodness dare not check thee. Wear thou thy wrongs, thy title is feared. Fare thee well, Lord, I would not be the villain that thou think'st, for the whole space is in the tyrant's grasp, and the riches boot.
Here we have Macduff in despair and overwhelmed by his feelings and compassion for his country. He is grief-stricken by the fact that the title of king is being abused by Macbeth. When he says farewell, he's beginning to lose hope, and he's just trying to dismiss all the chaos.
And the dismissal of the chaos shows that he might be a weaker character and would not be aggressive, as aggressive in our interpretation.
Be not offended. I speak not in absolute fear of you. I think our country sinks beneath the yoke. It weeps, it bleeds, and each new day a gash is added to her wounds. I think withal, there would be hands uplifted in my right, and here from gracious England have I offer of goodly thousands, but for all this, when I shall tread upon the tyrant's head, or wear it on my sword, yet my poor country shall have more vices than it had before, more suffered, more sundry ways than ever, by him that shall succeed.
And what should he be?
It is myself, I mean, in whom I know all the particulars of vice so grafted, that when they shall be opened, black Macbeth will seem as pure as snow, and the poor state esteem him as a lamb, being compared with my confinements upon.
Not only is Malcolm pointing out how malicious Macbeth is, but Malcolm is also using that to assert that he is even worse as a person.
Not in the legions of horrid hell can there come a devil more damned in evils to top Macbeth.
In our interpretation of this scene, Macduff is being respectful but still trying to get his point across. He needs to be respectful because he's talking to Malcolm, who, as future king, would have ruled with divine right, which is the idea that the king was appointed by God.
Macduff, in our weaker interpretation, wouldn't want to go against that divine right supplied by the church.
I grant him bloody, luxurious, avaricious, false, deceitful, sudden, malicious, smacking of every sin that has a name. But there's no bottom, none, in my voluptuousness. Your wives, your daughters, your matrons, and your maids could not fill up the cistern of my lust, and my desire, all consonant impediments, would o'erbear that does oppose my will. Better Macbeth than such one to reign.
Boundless intemperance in nature is a tyranny. It hath been the untimely emptying of the happy throne and the fall of many kings. But fear not yet to take upon you what is yours. You may convey your pleasures in a spacious plenty, and yet seem cold, the time you may so hoodwink you. We have willing dames enough. There cannot be that vulture in you to marrow so many as would will to dedicate themselves to greatness, finding it so inclined.
With this there grows in my most ill-composed affection such a stanceless avarice that, were I king, I should cut off the nobles' further lands, desire their jewels, and this other's house, and my more having would be as a sauce, to make me hunger more. That I should forge quarrels unjust against the good and loyal, destroying them for wealth.
There's little truth in every lie, so when Malcolm says he would forge quarrels unjust to get what he wants, in order to make Macduff seem as unworthy of being king, he would be willing to be aggressive towards him.
Back then, even though traitors kept themselves under wraps, it was known that everyone was out for their own motives, and nobility was no exception.
This avarice sticks deeper, grows a more pernicious root than summer seemed to us. It hath been the sword of our slain kings. Yet do not fear. Scotland has poisons to fill a will of your own. All these are portable with other graces waived.
In interpretation, Macduff is finally revealing his uneasiness at all of Malcolm's aggressive words.
I have none! The king becoming graces as justice, verity, temperance, stableness, bounty, perseverance, mercy, lowliness, devotion, patience, courage, fortitude. I have no relish of them, but abound in the division of each several crime. Acting it in many ways, nay, had I power, I should pour the sweet milk of concord into hell, uproar the universal peace, confound all unity on earth.
At this point is basically saying that he doesn't have the morals fit of a king, and his frustration is illustrated through this aggressiveness. He says he lacks king-becoming graces, and seeing as the ethic conduct of society at his time was ruled by the church, it makes sense for him to be so upset with this.
Oh, Scotland, Scotland!
In contrast to our first interpretation, in our second interpretation, we portrayed Macduff as more aggressive and Malcolm as more timid and slightly less belligerent.
Bleed, bleed, poor country, great tyranny, lay thou thy bases sure, For goodness dare not check thee. Wear thou thy wrongs, thy title is feared. Fare thee well, Lord. I would not be the villain that thinks for the whole space that's in the tyrant's grasp, and the rich east to boot.
Macbeth is using reverse psychology to lure Malcolm into explaining why he's not fitting to be king, taking a more aggressive standpoint illustrated through a more angry interpretation.
Be not offended. I speak not as an absolute fear of you. I think our country seeks beneath the yoke. It weeps, it bleeds, and each new day gashes out her wounds. I think with all, there would be hands uplifted in my right. And here from gracious England have I offer of goodly thousands. But for all this, when I shall tread upon the tyrant's head, or wear it on my sword, yet my poor country shall have more vices than it had before, more suffer, and more sundry ways than ever, by him that shall succeed.
What should he be?
It is myself I mean, in whom I know all the particulars of I so grafted, that when they shall be opened, black Macbeth will seem as pure as snow, and the poor state esteem him as a lamb, being compared with my confineless heart.
Even though Malcolm is comparing himself to Macbeth, in this interpretation he is almost apologetic. A strong character would build up the other person for comparison rather than putting himself down as Malcolm does.
Not in the legions of horrid hell can come a devil more damned in evils to top Macbeth.
Macbeth's harsh word choice reveals he's getting frustrated with Malcolm for being so seemingly weak. He wants Macbeth gone, and Malcolm is the only person who can do it, yet he's being weak. And Macduff just really wants to help his country, and he has no idea how else he can do it without Malcolm.
I grant him bloody, luxurious, avaricious, false, deceitful, sudden, malicious, snacking up every sin that has a name. But there's no bottom, none. In my voluptuousness, your wives, your daughters, your matrons, and your maids cannot fill up the cistern of my lust, and my desire, all continent impediments would overbear that did oppose my will. Better Macbeth than such as one to reign.
Boundless intemperance in nature is a tyranny. It hath been the untimely emptying of the happy throne and fall of many kings. But fear not yet to take upon you what is yours. You may convey your pleasures in a spacious plenty, and yet seem cold. The tiny may so hoodwink. We have willing dames enough. There cannot be that vulture in you, to devour so many, as will to greatness dedicate themselves, finding it so inclined.
With this there grows in my most ill-composed affection such a stanchious avarice that, were I king, I should cut off the nobles for their lands, desire his jewels and this other's house, and my more having would be as a sauce, to make me hunger more, that I should forge quarrels unjust against the good and loyal, destroying them for wealth.
Malcolm begins to question himself, who he is, and how he would be as king. When Macbeth became king, he was admired and praised for his good character, until he gradually became a corrupted soul. Here Malcolm is worried that if he became king, he might fall down that same path.
This avarice sticks deeper, grows with more pernicious root, and some are seeming less, and it hath been the sword of our slain kings. Yet do not fear! Scotland has voices to fill up your will of your mere own. All these are portable with your other graces' ways.
For this interpretation, Macduff is finally revealing his uneasiness at all of Malcolm's aggressive words.
But I have none. The king becoming graces as justice, verity, temperance, stableness, bounty, perseverance, mercy, lowliness, devotion, patience, courage, fortitude. I have no relish of them, but abound in the division of each several crime, acting it in many ways. Nay, had I had power, I should pour the sweet milk of concord into hell, uproar the universal peace, confound all unity on.
Malcolm makes many claims without supporting them, which can be portrayed as a characteristic of weakness. Macduff cries, "O Scotland, Scotland," with anger over Malcolm's inability to help his country in this interpretation.
Oh, Scotland, Scotland!